In this video, we're doing 3 more covered call stocks that I have used, can talk about, and share with you my experience. And I also have a surprise for you at the end of this video. Someone is going to be lucky. Stick around. I know you're going to like this one. Hey, welcome back everyone. It is time for another red hot covered call video. Well, that's right. We're talking about 3 more stocks that I've used, can talk about, share my experiences with, and I'll tell you what, I have been successful. That's the key here. We want to have success, and the only way we have success is if we do the things we need to do. I was just talking to somebody the other day about setting goals and then setting little goals within the big goal so we have success. I always talk about losing weight and how I wanted to lose 40 pounds. And I'll tell you what, man, just throwing that on the wall, I'm not going to get there. But I did want to lose 40 pounds. So what I did was I set that big goal. And then I said that I'm going to set up little goals so I can achieve them, have success, so we can get there. And that's what I did. Over a course of a year, I would do things, right? I would work out 2 to 3 times a week. I set a goal to not go back for seconds at dinner. Over the course of that year, I ended up losing 40 pounds and changing a lifestyle for me. It became routine to work out and eat right. And to be honest with you, I feel better about it because I had success. And that's the thing I always preach here. We want to have success because that motivates us to have our next successful moment. Now, we're talking trading here in the stock market, which a lot of people do not have success. We chase stocks, right? We try to swing trade stocks. And I'll tell you, man, at the end of the day, we're not the smartest people in the room. And I found that out years ago when I was trying to day trade and swing trade stocks, man. I never had success. Now, when Jerry showed me how to sell premium, man, I started having success because he showed me what I needed to do. I needed to do my research. I needed to know what I was buying. I needed to know the goal. The goal was to have success. And for me, that success was having a green trade, meaning I made money because I used to lose money. So setting those little goals really helped me out to where I'm at now. And now I'm having such success that I'm able to set goals of $50,000 a year. In fact, this year is $55,000. Wouldn't it be great to one day make $100,000 a year using the selling premium strategy? Well, you can do that, but you have to set little goals and achieve those little goals because you get more comfortable. When you get more comfortable, you'll do it. And when you do it, you'll have success. Right? We have to have those little goals so we can achieve those goals, right? If you're just floating around rudderless with no plan, no goal, then I'll tell you, most of the time, you're not going to be successful in what you want to do. That's why it's important to have a plan, execute the plan, but more importantly, have goals where you reach higher in life, okay? Reach higher because if you don't get there, right, you only get 80% of the goal. That's 80% closer than you would have been. So that's the theme today. I really want to impress upon you to have a plan, execute the plan, and set goals. See, when people set goals, they're more successful in what they do. And what I'll tell you is this. I got a little piece of paper in front of me. You hear that piece of paper? I not only set goals, I write them down on a piece of paper. I put a little checkbox next to it. I love getting to the point where I can write it down. I can write down a goal and then check marking that I've done it. Hey, look, every Saturday I wake up drinking my coffee and I have these little goals, right? I want to clean my desk. I want to mow the grass. And what I love to do is check mark each one. And then at the end of the day, when I'm drinking my beer, right, I can sit back and say I've achieved these things. So I hope what I do here is motivate and inspire you to do some of the things that I'm doing. Now, the reason for that is because I've found new success in the stock market. Now, for me, it's a bigger picture. I want to be able to learn a skill, use the skill, and when I'm in retirement, I'm able to generate real spendable income. See, for a lot of us, we're not going to have the ability to go out and get a part-time job. We're going to have an income stream where we don't have to work that much. Now, whether that's selling products on eBay or coming up with some digital job that allows us to stay at home, we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to generate additional income to pay the bills. Now, using the selling premium strategy is going to allow us to do that. We can literally have a laptop sitting on the beach in Tahiti and earn the income we talk about. I remember doing a video where I showed you being in Paris on a family vacation, trading win, having success, making real income while I was on a European vacation, having my skill, my laptop, and my cash printing machine. Now look, I know a lot of you out there saying, I'm not there yet, right? I can't be knocking down 100 grand a year writing covered calls. But what I want to tell you is this. When I first started this, I would set my hurdle so small that I would have success. And I did a video 3 years ago where I talked about if you only had like $3,000 or $5,000 and you bought a great stock. I think I used Bristol Myers as the example, where you bought Bristol Myers at about $30 and you wrote a covered call. And that very first covered call, even if you didn't make money, right? The fees ate up some of your profit. It didn't matter. It was about getting the experience, because once you got that experience, your life would change. Now, I got criticism for that because people were saying you're doing YouTube videos where you're showing people how to lose money. That wasn't the point. The point was, when we learn something, we get comfortable with it, we can then use it, right? We can use it for our success. Hey, look, that's really at the end of the day what my channel is all about. I love hearing your success stories, and that motivates me to come back to do another video for you next week. Now let's go ahead and get to this. I do have 3 more stocks that I can talk about confidently because I've traded them. So for anyone new to my channel, you like what you're hearing, I want you to subscribe to the channel. It's right there and it's free. And we come back every single week. I share with you my trades, my experiences, so maybe you learn something. And hey, do me a favor. If you like what you're hearing today, bang that like button. It lets me know you like what I'm doing. And what I'm doing this week is I'm giving away a 1-month subscription to the upgraded premium CTP dashboard. Now here's the deal. Near the end of this video, you're going to see a card go across the top. It's going to have a code in it, and what I want you to do is type in that code in the comments. Now look, I'm going to go ahead and take all those folks that put the code in the comments. I'm going to print those out, I'm going to put them in a hat, and I'm going to pull one out. You're going to get 1 free month of my premium upgraded CTP dashboard and all that comes with it. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this list. My number 1 stock on this list that I've actually traded is going to be Intel. And I'll tell you why, because for some of you out there, you don't want the higher, riskier stocks. Now, the other 2 I have are going to be a little more volatile. Intel is one of those stocks where it moves steady Eddie. And to be honest with you, it pays about that 2.5% to 3% cash on cash monthly trade without much risk. So let's talk about Intel right off the bat. I've owned this stock for years. I would trade Intel for that 5th dividend. Some of you may have heard me talk about my 5th dividend theory, where I buy a stock to collect the 4 dividends, but then I would play a covered call to collect the 5th dividend. Absolutely love that. I have a spreadsheet on my website, CTP Dashboard, called Double Your Dividends, and that's what I like to use. I'll create a spreadsheet with Intel in it, and I'll write covered calls, and I'll plug that in. And the idea is I want to try to double my dividends using covered calls. And I've had some success with Chevron and Intel. Absolutely love it. But let's talk about Intel and why I like it right now. Intel just had its earnings. So if we're using the golden rules of covered call writing, one of those risk elements we've already passed. The earnings weren't too bad, and in fact, Wall Street liked them, moving the stock higher. In fact, Intel was just trading below 50. So with that risk element behind us, we can write that 30-day covered call, and we don't have to get crazy here. I'm doing the math on an Intel trade. Intel trades for $59.26 right now. If we wrote the 60 out of the money, which is 1 deviation out, we can pick up about 2.8% on a 30-day trade. And that's that wheelhouse. Right? You want to make that 3% month on month, and we can do this every single month. Now, what you want to do is have great, stable stocks to do this with. And with Intel being a staple of dividend investors over the years, I'll never forget, I had a broker that said Intel is a technology utility stock. What he was referring to was Intel and Microsoft, they had such a quality dividend. He even told me that he believed that Intel's dividend was more sound than most people's jobs. He truly believed Intel and Microsoft would be more reliable paying its dividend than some people's jobs. He told me this back in 2008, so at the time, people were losing their jobs left and right. And from that, we move forward where Intel is now in all kind of chip businesses. And they used to be just that server business, and companies like NVIDIA and AMD were taking all of its business and all the new internet and gaming type chips. Well, Intel has stepped its game up and now is playing in that sandbox. So Intel is going to be one of those stocks that, look at this, over the past month, it has risen with the rest of the stock market. And now with earnings behind us, look at that dividend, man. $1.32. If you have to hold Intel for a year, they're going to pay you $1.32 per share for the entire year. Look, Intel to me is a buy and hold stock as much as it is a covered call right stock. And as you can see, Wall Street considers it undervalued, so we might get a little bit of upward move. Let's go ahead and look at the chart and see where we're at with that. Now look, what I'm going to do with this chart is what I do with all my charts. I take away the capitulating selling because that's when the computers kick in, and that's really not the true trading range of a stock. So I'm going to pick this line right here because to me that looks like Wall Street's support line. Yeah, we had this sell-off, and quite frankly, if you didn't get any of that V right there, I feel for you. That was one of the greatest near-term buying opportunities on the planet. But here we are. We're in more of a stable trading range. So I have to find that support level, right? And that's where I think Intel is, about $55. That doesn't mean it won't fall below because we don't know where we're going. But if I'm going to use that 55 number, I can safely buy Intel around 56, 55, write that out of the money covered call, and have it drift in this area here. Look, all I want is the 3%, and I would love to have my shares taken away. For 100 shares, you'd need about $5,500 to $5,600. We buy 100 shares, we write that one deviation out, we pick up about 2.8%. I'm telling you, if you can do that month over month, you're knocking it down. Now, my next two stocks are going to be a little more volatile, so this comes with a disclaimer. Look, I've owned both of these stocks, and I've had them fall on me some 30 and 40 points. Okay, so if you cannot handle volatility, well, you absolutely need to just sit back and watch, because if you get involved in these stocks, you have to understand that using an exit strategy or having your exit strategies in place might be a good one. I love to buy these stocks, write a covered call, and if the stock moves down, I'll buy that option back, we'll write another one. We'll use those exit strategies to profit even more. This is what I love to do. I call this the game. I play the game, but we do it in such a way that we're just making money. You know, we're buying great stocks. So when we buy great stocks, we have a better chance for them to go higher and have our shares taken away. So with that said, Alibaba, and by the way, Alibaba made my top 5 buy and hold stock blog list just last month. I love Alibaba for the long-term play. And there's a reason for that. Alibaba is the Amazon of China. Here's the deal though. They don't compete with Amazon. And they are getting into the cloud business very similar to Amazon, and the stock has been taking off ever since. Alibaba is worth about $500 billion. And if you think they're anywhere near Amazon, Amazon's worth $1 trillion. So there might be some upside here. And I'll tell you, they're great for covered calls because we can buy the stock, then we can write the out of the money strike, maybe $5 to $10 out of the money. And you could pick up some 6 and 7% per trade. Now, I know we want to focus in that 2 and 3%, right? We want to be conservative, but you can use great stock like Alibaba because Wall Street will move them higher. You know, Alibaba might be considered one of the top 5 businesses on the planet, largely because of who they support. There's 1 billion people in China, and that economy is moving towards a consumer base, and they go to Alibaba just like we go to Amazon. So Alibaba makes my list because I believe we can buy Alibaba, write these out of the money strikes, have our shares taken away, and we can make that 6, 7, I've even made 8%. Now, Alibaba does not pay a dividend, but again, we're playing a momentum stock. We're playing a big company that Wall Street likes. And as you can see, this thing has rallied above 240. They've sold it off just like everybody else, but look at that rally right back. We are not far from where it was trading before. I remember trading Alibaba between 180 and 210. So for it to be at 205 right now, this is absurd. And the stock market might not even be halfway way back. I mean, if you look at the Dow being damn near 30,000 when it fell, we're literally sitting at 22, 23,000. And Alibaba is back to where it was trading before. A lot of good things with Alibaba. Again, Wall Street thinks they're undervalued here. They don't pay a dividend, which is understandable, but look at that market cap. With it being around 550 billion and Amazon being worth $1 trillion, I'll tell you, there might be some upside here. It's one to consider. But again, have to do your due diligence and understand this one is a little volatile. Now, looking at earnings, we have earnings May 13th. So this puts us in that risk area, right? With it being April 26th, if we wrote a 30-day covered call, we'd be falling right in the middle of that earnings season. But if you think earnings are going to be good, what I love to do is write a covered call with the expiration 2 weeks past the earnings date. The reason for that is we'll get that volatility, that nasty volatility, up or down within the week of the earning. And usually we then start to stabilize again. And if we bought a great company and they have great earnings, it can find itself right back going higher. That's how I like to play earnings reports. I don't like to write covered calls during the week of the earnings because, as I've showed you in the past with Nike, a great stock like Nike during earnings can move 10% either way. Now, the chart here is very similar to Intel. You know, if we get rid of that capitulation selling, look where that support line goes all the way back, and it's about $190. So we can use a support line like that to maybe put in a low entry purchase. We want to buy low, write our out-of-the-money covered call, collect that stock, move higher, plus the higher premium. We can make that 6, 7, and 8% on a company like Alibaba. Now, before I move on to my final one this week, let me mention Alibaba made the IDB 50 this week. So here's the deal. This is how I would look at a covered call on Alibaba. If we bought Alibaba at 205 and write the 210 30-day covered call, we would get about $6.75 for that. That turns out to be cash on cash 30 days if our shares are taken away, 6.75%. Where are you making 6.75% cash on cash every 30 days? You're not doing it in real estate. You could buy a piece of real estate and do that whole rental property thing and sip your tea with your pinky finger up and feel good. What I want to do is pick great stocks making 6% cash on cash. Man, I'll do that every time. And I have the flexibility to buy Alibaba this month and buy Intel the next month. Then I can buy Nvidia for my next trade. Having the flexibility to use stocks to generate monthly income is what turned me on to this and why I'm so passionate. Because when I show you my spreadsheets and how much money I make, it's all about having a plan, $2,500 a month. In retirement, paying the bills, living a good life. That's what this is. That's why I mentioned to you in the very beginning, that's why I want to have success, because I want to have a skill so I can do this in retirement. That's the key, man. When I'm in retirement, I don't have a job, right? This becomes my job. This becomes my business. And this is why I've told you I treat my trading like a business. That's why I created all those free spreadsheets, man. Got to keep the numbers in front of you. Now, let's talk about Nvidia. I love Nvidia. Now, it is a $300 stock, so you're going to have a couple bucks to play this one. But here's the deal. Nvidia is one of those stocks that is the next generation chip maker. They make all the chips that matter right now, whether it be autonomous driving, whether it be gaming. Hell, Bitcoin is still a big player in Nvidia chips. They make the chips that will be used in future devices that we don't even know about. So Wall Street is going to give them a higher premium. They're always going to run them higher. They're always going to run at the head of the pack. They have a great management team. They have proven that they're a great company to buy and hold. Man, I know people that bought Nvidia back at $50. They would tell me, man, they will have to be dead and cold for you to take their shares out of their hand. Now, fast forward, if you remember, I bought Nvidia at about $185 a couple years ago. I wrote a couple covered calls on it, had my shares taken away. I think it was $212. So this thing, it's gone from $150 to $200, back to $150, now back to $300. So it moves in huge swings. So again, if you are not able to handle volatility, it's one you just want to watch, okay? Now, with that said, as you can see, NVIDIA doesn't really pay a dividend. They're a growth stock, right? They're putting all their profits back into the business, and it has paid off. Wall Street will buy this sucker up when it falls. And, Mr. Buy guy talks about it all the time. He named his dog NVIDIA. Now, with that said, look at that market cap. I mean, that market cap seems small when you think of these huge $500 billion, trillion-dollar companies going forward. But with that said, Wall Street thinks it's a little overvalued. And with earnings coming up, man, I don't know if I would play NVIDIA right now because you would get swings like you would not believe. But looking at their financials, what does that mean when the revenue and profit numbers are off for a company like NVIDIA? It's something you need to research. You need to do your due diligence and understand these things, okay? That's what we try to do here. We do our due diligence, we do our research, so we know what we're getting into. Let's go ahead and look at the chart because I think you're going to like this one. Now, I like NVIDIA. I've traded NVIDIA, and it swings like 10, 12 points in a day. So again, if you're going to be a part of NVIDIA, you need to understand that. But do you notice something different with NVIDIA's chart than Intel and Alibaba? NVIDIA has this support line that is just trending higher, even in this crash of 2020. NVIDIA has an uptrending chart, and I'll tell you, that support line around 250 is a buy for Wall Street, and they've done that. Now, earnings is going to paint a picture, and usually AMD announces before NVIDIA. So watching AMD's earnings is going to be critical, because remember when I told you I bought NVIDIA at 150? Back when NVIDIA was trading at 150, I bought a couple hundred shares because AMD announced great earnings, and I figured if AMD was going to announce great earnings, NVIDIA would too. And sure enough, man, NVIDIA rockets higher and it never looked back. They took my shares. Man, I remember profiting some 23, 25%. That's what we do here. We buy great stocks. We try to get a low entry purchase so we can write that out of the money strike, picking up the stock movement plus the fat premiums. In the case of NVIDIA, if you went to an options chain, you would see that they pay some 8% for a 30-day trade. Right now, NVIDIA trades for about $289. If you were to do a cash secure put, a 270 strike cash secure put, that's about $20 below the current stock price. You could pick up $12.50 per share with a commitment of $270. The stock would have to fall some 20 points in a 30-day period. And when you see that support line, I'm thinking to myself, that might be an opportunity for a great cash secure put. You'll get 4.6% on a 30-day trade. But let's say you want to do the covered call and you want to have your shares taken away. You buy the stock at $289. You write that 30-day covered call, a 300 strike, right? You're going to get about $11 on the stock move plus a decent premium. I think the premium is about $14. That's going to be 8% cash on cash. You have your shares taken away. We move on. Now, hey, there's 3 more great cover call stocks that I've actually used and profited from. What I want you to do is subscribe to the channel because this is what I'm going to be doing more and more of. People want stocks that people have traded and can tell a story, right? I've talked about it in the past, man. These new YouTubers that create content for content's sake, they've never traded these stocks. So they couldn't share with you the story that they bought Alibaba at 185 and the thing falls to 150. And if you wrote a cash secure put at 170 and you get early assigned and how you feel, yeah, they really can't talk about that. I can because I live it. I show you my trades, we talk about it, so maybe you learn something. And I give you a little insight like I did here as to what I think of these 3 great stocks. Now look, I want you to post the code. Do you remember I'm giving away 1 free month premium membership with that code? I want you to take that code, put it in the comments. Like I told you, I'm going to go ahead and pull all those comments probably in the first couple days. Then I'm going to comment to the lucky winner. Okay, so you want to be watching your emails when YouTube sends you that notification that I replied to your comment saying you're the winner. Now look, before I let you go, man, if you like what you heard today, bang that like button. It lets me know you like what I'm doing, and ring the bell. I notice about half of you get the notification when I do a Red Hot cover call video. Hey, ring the bell, you get the email, you can watch my next video next week. I'm going to leave it right there. Until next time, be safe, be healthy, most important, be lucky.